Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei and I'm so excited to paint with you today. We are going to do another page in our watercolor journals, and today I'm going to do some summer fruit illustrations. So I'm going to do lemons today, and then I might do a couple of others, maybe some watermelon and some peaches on subsequent days. We'll see how long this takes me. So we're going to do some lemons. Kind of on a branch, and we're using a 6x9. That's the size of my watercolor pages in my sketchbook. This is a bow hung watercolor book. It's 100% cotton, 140 pound cold pressed paper. I have my core mini palette here, 12 colors. Love this. Relatively new to me, not core the brand, but this particular palette, and I'm really enjoying it. And then I also have a butcher tray, enameled butcher tray here, just to make some bigger mixes on, and a bunch of my round brushes. I have Princeton, this is a quill brush, but let's see, Princeton Velvet Touch. I have a 10, a 4. I also have a size 2 Princeton Select brush, and I have a silver black velvet brush hanging out over here as well. All round brushes. I prefer round, but whatever you prefer is up to you. But rounds are a great versatile brush. Okay, so let's sketch out some of our lemons. I want to keep this pretty simple. I'm going to start just at the top. I'm going to create kind of a central branch here. And then off my branch, I think I want to have at least 3 lemons. So they're this kind of egg-shaped, lemon-shaped oval. I have one come off here. And then they usually have this little protrusion at the bottom here, like a little navel, like an outie navel. And we'll do one more. I'm going to move my clip here. Stem come out a little bit differently. There we go. All right. Whoops, I'm actually going off camera here. Sorry about that. Scooch up a little bit. All right, so I have those 3, and then normally I wouldn't draw these on, but we're going to add in some leaves. For composition's sake, I am going to put in some leaves, but they're going to be and I want a few of them to kind of go behind, I think. I don't want everything to be super flat. This is an illustration, so it's not like hyper realism or anything, but there, that looks pretty satisfying. Let's give this one up here some kind of leaf over it. And one right at the very top. Okay, so that looks good as far as composition goes. It feels balanced. I am going to lighten up my lines a bit. So you might not be able to see them as well, especially because I'm going to be working with yellows and light colors. My leaves, I'm not so worried about, but definitely the lemons. I'm going to have some highlights in here. All right, so we're going to have our highlights all kind of in this general front top area, as if light's coming from this direction onto them. So let's start with getting some of our yellow. So I have 2 yellows I'm going to work with. I have this bismuth yellow, which is very much a lemony yellow color. Sorry, my light is creating a glare on there. Not much to be done for it. And then I have this other warmer yellow. This is nickel azo yellow. And then we can also add other colors as complements. Now I could go right to browns. Excuse me. I could go right to browns for some of the shadowier areas to mix with yellow, but also purple is a complement to yellow. And when purple is mixed with yellow, you get a brown. And I tend to find using the complement for shadows creates a little bit more interesting and harmonious shadow mix. So you can see we went from like bright yellow, take that out of the glare, to this brown color, but it still has very much a yellow tone to it, but I just added purple to it as its complement. So that's what we're going to use for our mixes. So I'm going to start with my lightest. And I'm just going to go for it. I am going to try to preserve my highlights in white. Or very close to white, so up here towards the top. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my darker nickel azo yellow. Put a little on the edge up here. I'm rinsing my brush off a lot. I know that's not all on camera. Let me see if I can zoom out just a little bit. Just so you can see. I'll scooch this up. That I'm dipping and blotting a lot so that I have a lot of control over how much paint is going on here. All right, so now I'm going to take my darkest color. Add that to the very bottom. Go back up here. I'm just going to take my wet brush and go over the highlight. And it's not going to keep it bright white, but it's going to invite some of that color in without painting it directly on the lemon. I'm going to go back up to the top a little bit. And just bring in some more color around the top here. And then I'm going to let this dry. We can always come back in with more color later. Put some darker color kind of around the edges. Just to show as it's like folding away from us. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to go into number 2, and again, highlights kind of from the front, so, but front top. Oh, sorry. Was not paying attention, so picking up some of my stronger nickel azo yellow. So I just added water to the highlight. Again, I don't want to add paint directly there, but I want it to be able to invite in at the edges some of this yellow color. Picking up my shadow mix. My purple is really strong, so I just got to be careful. But contrast always makes things more interesting, brings them to life. Right, I'm going to let that one dry, and I'm going to do this last one here. Sorry, I just had to jump back down to this one. There we go. So doing some funky things in the drying process, which happens. All right, let's, oh, I just dipped my purple right into my yellow on the palette. So now I have a layer of brown. There we go. I'm not quite ready to go that dark. Maybe for the branch. We definitely can use our yellow and our purple for the branch, to make a brown for the branch. Where am I going here? I got my darker yellow. This one is quite wet. It's got a lot of water on it and a lot of paint, so I'm actually just going to pull some off a bit and let it dry. There. Something about this one, this highlight, is throwing me off a bit, so I'm going to come back in. Now that this is mostly dry, I am going to come back in with some of this darker yellow at the bottom here. And some of my just bismuth yellow, this lighter yellow color. Just gonna play with the shape of this highlight. I'm gonna round it out this way. There, that looks better. Right at the bottom, just using this darker brown color just around that little nub that sticks out, just to give it a little definition. All right, while these continue to dry, I definitely know this one needs a little more attention up top. I'm going to add in our branch and our leaves. So let's do that branch. I'm going to switch. Actually, let's mix up our color first. So this deep, deep yellow with purple makes this beautiful brown color. The more purple you add, the darker it gets. And if it was too red, like too reddish of a brown color, the other color we're going to use for our leaves is sap green. And the complement to red is green. So if I added a little green to this, it would start to cool it down a little bit so it wouldn't be so red. I don't know if you can see the difference there. This side is much more red than this side. So knowing your colors is super, super helpful. Your color mixing. All right, so I'm going to pick up my size 4 brush now. So I went from a size 10 down to a size 4 because I want to make a nice controlled. I'm going to get right vertical up on the tip of the brush. I'm going to do very gentle pressure, almost to the point where it's not touching the page. Every once in a while, I'm going to increase that pressure ever so slightly. All right, so there's that central line brush. And we have our little branches off of that attach to our lemons and our leaves. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to switch, I think, back to my size 10. Even though these leaves are really tiny, itty bitty things, I'm going to pull out my sap green, which, here, maybe I'll mix that down here. And if that green is too yellow for you and you want to add a little phthalo blue green shade to make it more of a green color, you can do that. You can dull it down and darken it with a little Payne's gray. I'm just going to go with the straight sap green. So I'm using a size 10, but if you want to use a smaller brush for this, you can. I'm just going to use the tip of my brush, apply a little bit of pressure, and that's it. So tip of the brush, apply a little pressure, and then lift at the end, slowly lift at the end. So basically these leaves are pretty much the same shape on both sides, so I can start at the base or, excuse me, at the base or the top of the leaf. You can use more than one stroke. You don't have to get this done in one stroke. Like this leaf, I'm trying to be careful because it goes behind that lemon there. Always throw in a little bit more color. I kind of like the look of little pools of color and water in these. Like these little bits here. Can leave some little white spots for highlights. This one's going to go behind this one there. Add another one maybe over here. Lovely. Okay. So you can see this top one is not as refined as these bottom two. It doesn't have as much contrast. So we're going to go back into that one and give it a little love. I am going to clean up this palette a little bit because I want to just have a little more control over my mixes. Start with that bismuth yellow again. I'm actually just going to do another layer, like a glaze of this yellow. So it's not covering up anything necessarily. Well, it's definitely not covering anything up, but it's adding another layer of color. So it's just going over, it's actually making the shadows darker as well as the highlights. Okay, and now I'm going to go in with, let's start with my warmer yellow here. So my brush right now is completely dry, and I'm just moving around what's already on the page. And lastly, I'm going to add just the tiniest bit of this darker brown color, like right along the edge here. And I'm going to take some of this darker yellow and just like around this side here. Kind of creeping up to the one side of our highlight. Coming back down here with just some of this darker color around the very edge. Oh, I think a bird just hit my house. I put fresh bird seed out there, so it's like a combat zone. There we go. Don't want to lose that highlight. Okay, I'm done. There, yay. Okay, let me just add, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my Payne's gray and add it to this brown to make a really dark color. And I'm just going to come in and add a few slightly darker shadows on a few spots on the branch. Oh, make sure all my leaves are connected. And my lemon, like this lemon is not connected right now. It's just hanging out in space there. And I'm just putting like a little kind of connection point on it. It seemed a little floaty. And then I'm going to thicken this top part of the branch. I just feel like it kind of goes out in the space a little too. There we go. There are our lemons on a branch, our summer fruit. I think they look lovely. Thank you so much for painting with me today. I hope you found this helpful. You can find links in the description to all the supplies and materials I use, including my new core mini palette and my butcher tray and all my brushes and other things that I use on a daily basis. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so and you're new here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much to my super thanks contributors. You guys are amazing. I can't do this without you, and it's such a wonderful additional support. And lastly, don't forget to share this with someone else who you think may also enjoy this watercolor journey. So take care, y'all, and happy painting, and I'll see you for our next watercolor journal page very soon.